We tend to think of life as this constant, relentless struggle against death. But what if I told you that our own biology tells a completely different story? That deep, deep within ourselves, death isn't some enemy we have to fight, but a critical, pre-installed program that's absolutely essential for our survival. And no, this isn't some accident or a bug in the system. Every single one of your cells is literally born with a set of instructions on how to die. And this just raises a huge question, right? Why on earth would life evolve something that seems so self-destructive? Well, there's a scientific name for it, of course. It's called apoptosis. And I want you to think of it less like a death and more like a controlled demolition. See, it's not something that just happens to the cell. It's a deliberate choice the cell makes for the greater good of the whole organism. And that organism, well, that's you. So how does a cell actually pull this off? How does it perform this, ultimate act of self-sacrifice? Well, it's not some messy, chaotic explosion. It's actually this incredibly elegant and precise procedure, almost like a biological art form. Okay, so it all kicks off with a signal. Maybe the cell is damaged, or it's infected, or maybe it's just old and its time is up. This signal flips an internal kill switch. Right away, the cell's DNA starts to fragment, its whole internal structure collapses, and it neatly packages itself up into these little disposable bags. Then your immune cells come along and just quietly sweep away the debris. And the difference between this and, say, death from an injury, it's night and day. That kind of death is just messy. A cell bursts open, it spills all its guts out, and it causes all this inflammation that can damage all the cells around it. Apoptosis is the total opposite. It's clean, it's quiet, it's efficient, and it leaves absolutely no trace behind. All right, so we get how it happens. But the real question, the bigger question, is still why? Why is this internal death program so important? Well, it turns out it serves two absolutely fundamental purposes that are just vital for our existence. So to understand the first reason, all you have to do is look at your own hand. I mean, it didn't always look like this. When you were just an embryo, your hands actually started out as these solid little paddles, kind of like flippers, with no distinct fingers at all. So, how did you end up with 5 separate fingers? You guessed it, apoptosis. The cells in that webbing between your developing fingers all got the signal. They activated their death program and they sacrificed themselves. Apoptosis is literally the sculptor that carved your body into the shape it has today. But here's the thing. Apoptosis isn't just some sculptor from our distant past. It's a guardian, and it's working inside you right this very moment on a scale that is just mind-boggling. The number of cells making this sacrifice every single moment is staggering. Every single second, millions of your cells are undergoing apoptosis. Think of it as your body's ultimate quality control system. It's constantly clearing out old, worn-out, or potentially dangerous cells just to make room for fresh, healthy ones to take their place. It is the ultimate renewal program, happening all the time. So let's just boil it down. The whole point is this. We need apoptosis first as a sculptor to build us correctly in the first place, and second as a guardian to protect us from one of the most feared diseases there is. And that second role, well, that's where our story takes a really dramatic turn. Because what happens when this perfectly designed, incredibly important death program fails? What happens when a cell just breaks the rules? When a cell refuses to die? Well, that's when you get an outlaw. And this brings us right to the core of the conflict, because there is a very, very dark side to a cell forgetting how to die. The contrast is just so stark. Healthy cells, they play by the rules. If they get damaged in a way that could lead to cancer, boom, they trigger apoptosis for the good of the whole body. But cancer cells, oh, they are masters of survival. Their very first move is to figure out how to break that suicide program. And when they do, they achieve this kind of twisted immortality, multiplying and multiplying without end, threatening to bring down the entire system from the inside. And all of this brings us to this beautiful, profound paradox that sits at the very heart of our existence. It completely flips how we normally think about life and death on its head. You see, we instinctively think that more life is always better, right? That having immortal cells would be the ultimate evolutionary jackpot. But that assumption, it's just completely wrong. And here it is, the answer to the paradox. The survival of the whole organism, the survival of you, depends entirely on the willingness of your individual cells to make that sacrifice and die. Life persists, not through some stubborn immortality, but through disciplined, cooperative sacrifice. So this gives us a whole new way to look at it. Programmed cell death isn't a flaw, it's not decay, and it's definitely not a weakness. It's the ultimate form of biological discipline. It's the fundamental order that holds back the chaos of unchecked, cancerous growth. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If the very foundation of our health is built on these countless tiny programmed deaths happening every single second, what does this hidden, disciplined order really tell us about what it truly means to be alive?